The night sky over New Pyongyang burned red and orange. Something massive was falling from space, trailing fire like a dying star. 8-year-old pressed his face against the cold window of the small house he shared with his sister, watching the object crash somewhere beyond the mining hills. "Get away from the window," shouted, pulling her little brother back. She was 19, thin and tired from working 2 jobs at the colony. Her hands were rough from operating mining equipment, and her eyes always looked worried. Ever since their parents died in the tunnel collapse 2 years ago, she worried about everything. The ground shook. Alarms blared across the small colony, could hear people shouting outside. He looked up at his sister with wide eyes. "What was that?" he asked. Bit her lip. "I don't know, stay here, lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me." She grabbed her jacket and ran outside, watched through the window as colonists rushed toward the community center. He could see the red glow on the horizon where the thing had crashed. His small hands gripped the windowsill. Something important was happening, something that made all the adults afraid. He waited for an hour, then 2 didn't come back. Finally, he heard shouting in the streets, opened the door just a crack and listened. "The Galactic Council is demanding we hand it over." "Are you crazy? Do you know what they are?" "It's wounded, dying probably. We should just stay away." "The Council says if we don't surrender it, they'll bomb us from orbit." Didn't understand all the words, but he understood fear. These were the same voices that had sounded afraid when the mine collapsed and trapped his parents. The same helpless fear that meant something bad was coming, and no one knew how to stop it. He slipped out of the house while no one was watching. The colony was small, only 300 people living in prefab buildings around the mining operation. Beyond the safety lights, the old tunnels stretched into the darkness. That's where the crashed thing had to be. Was small for his age. He moved quietly through the shadows, the way he used to when playing hide-and-seek with his father. The memory made his chest hurt, but he kept walking. In his backpack, he carried 3 protein bars, a bottle of water, and the small medical kit kept under the sink. The entrance to the old tunnels was supposed to be sealed, but knew a hole in the fence where the bigger kids snuck through to smoke. He squeezed through easily. Inside, the tunnel was dark and cold. Turned on his small flashlight. The beam shook because his hands were trembling. He wasn't sure why he was doing this. He just knew that something was hurt and alone in the dark, and he remembered how that felt. He walked for 20 minutes, following a trail of strange dark liquid on the ground. It wasn't red like human blood. It was almost black, and it seemed to shimmer in the flashlight beam. Then he heard breathing, deep and raspy, like air moving through a broken machine. His heart pounded. He almost ran, but he thought about what always told him, being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing even when you are. He stepped around a corner and froze. The creature was massive. Even sitting down, slumped against the tunnel wall, it was taller than any human. It had 4 arms, each one thick with muscle and covered in what looked like black armor, except the armor seemed to be part of its skin. Its face was angular and sharp, with eyes that glowed faintly in the darkness. Several places on its body were torn open, leaking that strange dark blood. The creature's eyes locked onto. It didn't move. It just stared at the small human child standing in the tunnel with a flashlight and a backpack. "Hello," said quietly. His voice echoed in the tunnel. The creature made a sound. It wasn't words recognized, but it sounded surprised. Took a careful step forward. Then another. The creature watched him but didn't move. Maybe it was too hurt to move. Maybe it was just curious about this tiny thing approaching it without running away. When it was close enough, he slowly opened his backpack. The creature's eyes followed his movements, pulled out the medical kit first. He had no idea if human medicine would work on an alien, but it was all he had. "You're hurt," said he. Pointed at the wounds. "I want to help." The creature tilted its head slightly. Then slowly, it extended one of its 4 arms toward the boy. The hand was huge, with 3 long fingers ending in sharp points. It could have grabbed and crushed him easily. Instead, it pointed at one of the worst wounds on its side. Understood. He moved closer, so close he could smell the creature's strange scent, like hot metal and something sharp. His hands shook as he pulled out antiseptic spray and bandages. The bandages were way too small, but he did his best, pressing the white cloth against the dark wound. The creature made another sound, softer this time. After finished with the bandages, he pulled out the protein bars and the water. He opened one bar and took a bite, showing it was safe to eat. Then he offered the rest to the creature. The massive alien took the small bar carefully between 2 fingers. It studied the food, then ate it in one bite. Gave it the other 2 bars and the water bottle, which looked like a toy in the creature's huge hand. They sat together in the darkness. His flashlight made strange shadows on the tunnel walls. Neither of them spoke. The creature because it couldn't speak human languages, because he didn't know what to say. Finally, the boy just sat down next to the alien, his small body barely reaching the height of the creature's knee. He pulled out his portable game device and turned it on. The small screen glowed in the darkness. "My name is," he said quietly, not looking up from his game. "I don't know your name, but you don't have to be alone." The creature looked down at the small human child sitting beside it. In all its years of war and battle, it had never experienced anything like this. This tiny, fragile being had walked into the darkness to help something that could kill it without effort, had brought food and medicine when it had no reason to show kindness. The creature's name was. It was the last of a species bred for war, a race that had destroyed 17 worlds before being hunted to extinction. It had expected to die alone in this tunnel, just another casualty in a lifetime of violence. But now this child sat beside it, playing a simple game in the darkness, keeping it company. Didn't understand, but something in its chest, something it didn't know it had, felt warm for the first time in its entire existence. Outside, the Galactic Council's ships waited in orbit. Inside, a small boy and a fearsome alien sat together in the dark. Neither of them knew that this moment would change the galaxy forever. All they knew was that they were no longer alone. Found her brother 3 hours later, asleep against the massive alien's side. She had searched everywhere, growing more desperate and angry with each passing minute. When she finally followed his trail to the old tunnels and saw him curled up next to the creature everyone was terrified of, her heart nearly stopped. She screamed, rushing forward. The alien moved fast despite its injuries. One arm came up, positioning itself between and the sleeping child. But it didn't attack, it just watched her carefully. Woke up rubbing his eyes. "Nuna, I was helping him, he's hurt." "Get away from that thing," his voice shook. "Do you know what it is, what it can do?" "His name is," said calmly. He stood up and walked to his sister, taking her hand. "He's alone and scared, just like I was when Mom and Dad died. He needs help." Looked at the creature. It sat very still, watching them both. Its glowing eyes were fixed on, and there was something in that gaze she couldn't quite understand. Not hunger, not anger, something else. "Please don't tell anyone," whispered. "They want to hurt him." Pulled her brother close. "The whole colony is in danger because of it. The Galactic Council wants it dead. If we don't give it to them, they'll kill everyone here." "Then we have to protect him," said simply, "like you protect me." Before could respond, voices echoed in the tunnel behind them. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. The colony administrator emerged with several armed colonists. "Step away from the," ordered. His voice was calm but firm. "We're surrendering it to the council. It's the only way to save the colony." Moved in front of it. "No." "Kid, you don't understand," said. "That thing is a monster. Its species destroyed 17 entire planets. Billions of people died because of we can't protect it." "He hasn't hurt anyone here," said. He's just trying to survive. Made a deep rumbling sound. Everyone jumped, weapons raising. But the alien wasn't threatening them. It was laughing. The sound was strange and harsh, but there was genuine amusement in it. Slowly rose to its full height. Even wounded, it was terrifying. 3 meters tall, covered in natural armor with 4 powerful arms. Every person in the tunnel took a step back. Except looked down at the small boy standing in front of it. Then it did something that made everyone freeze. It knelt down, bringing its face level with us. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough, speaking in broken human language. "Why help me?" asked. "You, small, weak, I could kill you." "Because you needed help," said, "and because being alone is scary." Stared at the child for a long moment. Then it reached into a pouch on its armor and pulled out a small, sharp blade. Everyone tensed, but simply cut across its own palm. Dark blood welled up. "No," screamed as gently took her brother's hand. But the alien was careful. It made a small cut on its palm, no deeper than a paper cut. Then it pressed its bleeding hand against the boy's. "In the old ways of my people," said slowly, "blood oath is sacred. This human child showed mercy when he had no reason by this oath. He is my brother now. To harm him is to make war on me." The dark blood mixed with red blood. The boy didn't pull away. He looked up at and smiled. "Does this mean we're family?" asked. "Yes," said. The word came out clearer, stronger. "Brothers." Stared in disbelief. "You can't be serious. The Galactic Council won't care about some primitive ritual." "They will care," said, standing up but keeping one hand on shoulder. "Blood oath is ancient law, older than council. If they harm my brother, I will destroy them, all of them, even if I die trying." The certainty in his voice made everyone in the tunnel believe him. 2 days later, the Galactic Council ships landed. The colony gathered in the central square as alien soldiers in advanced armor marched through. Leading them was Administrator, a tall reptilian creature with cold eyes and a voice that dripped with authority. "Where is the?" demanded. Stepped forward from where he had been standing behind the crowd. Walked beside him, holding one of the alien's massive hands. Followed close behind, her face pale but determined. His eyes widened slightly. "Is that a human child?" "My brother," said clearly. His human language had improved over the past 2 days, had been teaching him. "Impossible, don't have family. Your weapons, tools of war." "I was," agreed, "until my brother showed me something different." Looked at with disgust. "Child, step away from the creature. You don't understand what it is." "He's my brother," said firmly. "We did the blood oath. That means something, right?" One of the council soldiers, an older alien with skin, suddenly knelt. "Commander, the blood oath is recognized under ancient right laws, if the has truly bonded with the human." "Ancient rights don't apply to monsters," snapped. "All council members must follow ancient laws," said. "You taught us that when you tried us for war crimes. You said law applies to everyone, even." His face twisted with anger. "You dare quote our laws at me?" "I dare," said, "because now I have something to protect my brother. If you try to take me, if you hurt him, I will show you why they were feared." The soldiers looked nervous. Everyone knew the stories. A single warrior could destroy an entire battalion. Was wounded, but even injured, he was deadly. "This is ridiculous," said. "We could bombard this colony from orbit." "Then you would murder a child who is bound, by sacred oath, to a recognized being," said. "The council would have to answer for that. Other species would ask why you killed an innocent just to execute the last." Stepped forward. "Please don't hurt my brother. He hasn't done anything wrong. He just crashed here." Looked between the massive alien warrior and the small human child. The situation was absurd, impossible. Yet here they stood, clearly bonded in some way that made his mission complicated. "Fine," said finally. "We'll recognize the blood oath for now, But this colony is under quarantine. No ships in or out, no supplies, no communication with the outside galaxy. Let's see how long your brotherhood lasts when people start starving." The council ships lifted off, leaving the colony alone. That night held her brother close. "Do you understand what you did? We're cut off now. No food shipments, no medicine, no help." Looked up at her, "But is safe, that's what matters." Across the room sat watching them. He was learning that humans were strange creatures. They protected each other even when it cost them everything. They showed kindness to strangers. They called each other family even without blood. His brother was teaching him things he never learned in all his years of war. And somehow, that felt more important than any battle he had ever won. 3 weeks into the quarantine, the colony was struggling. The food supplies were running low. The medical center was down to basic painkillers. People were getting sick, getting angry, and getting desperate. The chief engineer cornered in the street one morning. "This is your fault, kid. You and that monster you call brother. People are going hungry because of you." Looked down at his feet. He felt guilty every time he saw the worried faces of his neighbors, but he couldn't regret saving. "Leave him alone," said, stepping between them. She looked thinner now. She was giving most of her food to. "Why should I?" demanded. "My daughter is sick. We need medicine from off-world, but we can't get it because the council quarantined us." Before the argument could continue, alarms blared across the colony. Everyone rushed to see what was happening. 3 ships were approaching, but they weren't council vessels. These ships were unmarked, painted black, with weapons clearly visible. "Raiders," said grimly. "They must have heard about the quarantine. They think we're easy targets." The black ships landed outside the colony. Armed men and women poured out, along with several alien mercenaries. Their leader, a woman with cold eyes, broadcasted a message. "This colony has valuable ore reserves. You have 1 hour to evacuate. After that, anyone remaining will be killed. We're claiming this site." Panic spread through the colonists. They had mining tools, a few old hunting rifles, and 1 angry alien. The raiders had military-grade weapons and body armor. "We can't fight them," someone shouted. "We should run," another voice called out. Stepped forward. "I will fight them, protect my brother, protect his people." "You're still wounded," said. "There are too many of them." "I am," said simply. "This is what I was made for." Grabs hand. "No, you're not alone anymore. We fight together." "You are a child," said gently. "You cannot fight." "She's right, though," a voice said. The colony's best pilot and mechanic stepped forward. She was young, maybe 25, with oil stains on her hands and determination in her eyes. "We can't let you fight alone. This is our home." Joined her. "I've been angry at the kid, but he's not wrong about one thing. We take care of our own, even if one of our own is a giant alien who eats 5 days of rations in 1 meal." More colonists gathered. They brought mining lasers, heavy tools, and improvised weapons. Old miners, young engineers, families with children. None of them were soldiers. Looked at them in confusion. "You will die. Humans are weak, fragile. Why do you fight?" Smiled sadly. "Because that's what we do. We're stubborn like that." Organized them quickly. He had served in a planetary defense force before becoming administrator. "We know this terrain. We know the tunnels. We use what we have." The raiders attacked expecting an easy victory. They found something else entirely. The colonists had rigged the approaches with mining charges. The first wave of raiders walked into an explosion that collapsed part of the ground beneath them. Those who made it through faced colonists fighting from behind hastily built barricades. Had modified a mining vehicle into a mobile weapons platform. It wasn't pretty, but it worked, firing mining lasers at the attacking forces. Moved through the battle like death itself. But he wasn't fighting alone. Colonists supported him, watching his back, pulling wounded allies to safety, coordinating their attacks through radio headsets. Couldn't fight, so he ran messages between positions, small and fast enough to avoid enemy fire. He saw terrible things that day. Saw people hurt. Saw the colony doctor working desperately to save the wounded while medics ran supplies through the crossfire. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it finally ended, the raiders retreated. They had expected easy prey and found a nest of angry humans instead. The cost wasn't worth the ore. 14 colonists were injured, 2 were critical, but they had won. That night sat with on the roof of their house, looking at the stars. The alien's armor was scorched and dented from the battle. "I do not understand," said quietly. "Humans have no enhanced strength, no armored skin, no bioweapons. You live only a fraction of the time my species does, yet you fight when any logical calculation says you should flee." Leaned against his brother's massive arm. "Told me something once. She said humans aren't the strongest or the fastest but we're really good at not giving up." "Why?" asked. "Why do you not give up?" Thought about it. "I guess because we care about each other. Like, I could give up when things are hard for me, but I can't give up when needs me, and she can't give up when I need her, and the colonists can't give up when their families need them." "This is weakness," said, but his voice was uncertain. "Caring makes you vulnerable, gives enemies a target." "Maybe," said, "but it also makes us strong. Today, people who were angry at me fought to protect me. Not because they like me, but because we're all part of the same community. Because if they let the raiders take me, what's to stop the raiders from taking their kids next?" Was quiet for a long time. "My people. We were bred in war, raised in battle cohorts. We knew our squad members, fought beside them, died beside them, but we never called them family, never called them brothers or sisters. When they died, we noted the tactical loss and moved on." "That sounds lonely," said. "It was efficient," replied, then softer, "it was very lonely." Took his brother's massive hand. "You're not alone anymore. You have me. You have this whole colony now, even if some of them are still grumpy about it." Looked down at his small brother. "You are right. Today I learned something. I watched colonists run into danger to save others. Watched them fight even when afraid. Watched them give their food to children, their medicine to the wounded, their safety to protect strangers." "That's just what people do," said. "No," said firmly. "That is what humans do. Other species cooperate when beneficial, form alliances when logical, but humans will throw themselves into fire for each other, will fight impossible odds, will sacrifice everything for those they call family." He pulled closer. "The galaxy fears because we were good at destroying, but they should fear humans more, because you are good at something far more dangerous. You are good at refusing to break, at standing back up, at protecting each other no matter the cost." "Is that scary?" asked. Laughed that strange rumbling sound. "Very scary. My people conquered through strength, but strength can be overcome. You humans, you endure, and endurance is much harder to defeat." Below them, the colony was already repairing damage from the battle. People worked together, sharing tools, sharing food, sharing hope. Tomorrow would be hard. The quarantine continued. Supplies were still low. But tonight they had proven something important. They had proven they wouldn't give up. They had proven they would fight for each other. And sitting on that roof, a human child and an alien warrior both understood something profound. Family wasn't about blood or species or strength. Family was about who you'd stand with when everything fell apart. Family was about who you'd protect even when it cost you everything. And in that moment, finally understood why his brother was so brave. Wasn't brave because he was fearless. He was brave because he cared more about others than he cared about his own fear. The last warrior had learned to conquer, but a small human child was teaching him something much more valuable. He was teaching him to love. The news of what happened at New Pyongyang spread through the galaxy like fire. A human child had claimed brotherhood with a warrior. The warrior had honored it. And when raiders attacked, humans had fought alongside the most feared species in known space. Some species found it amusing, others found it disturbing, but the Galactic Council found it threatening. "We can't let this precedent stand," one council member argued in the emergency session. "If one human can claim kinship with a what's next, will they start protecting other war criminals, other dangerous species?" "The blood oath is recognized under ancient law," another council member countered. "We can't simply ignore our own laws because they're inconvenient." But there was one council member who didn't care about laws or precedents. Enforcer Captain had lost his entire world to the 30 years ago. His family, his friends, his culture, everything burned by those monsters. He had spent decades hunting down the last survivors of that species. And now, one human child was protecting the very last one. Looked at the footage of standing beside. The image made his blood burn with rage. That child had no right to call that creature brother, no right to protect it from justice. "I volunteer to handle the New Pyongyang situation," said coldly. "I'll make sure it's resolved properly." The council granted him a fleet, 12 warships, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Didn't plan to negotiate or debate ancient laws. He planned to make an example that would terrify any other human who thought about protecting council enemies. On New Pyongyang, life had found a fragile balance. The colony was still under quarantine, still struggling, but they were surviving, had become part of the community. He helped with the heavy mining work that would have taken 10 humans to do. He taught the security team better tactics. Children, including, followed him around asking endless questions. Was teaching to read human books. The big alien struggled with the small words, but he was learning. Today they sat in the colony library, holding a children's book carefully in his massive hands. "The small bird wanted to fly," read slowly. "Good," encouraged, "keep going." Alarms interrupted them, not the raider alarms, the space defense alarms. Everyone rushed outside. In the sky above, ships were dropping out of light speed. 12 massive warships, their weapons already powering up. "It's a council fleet," said, his face going pale. "Why would they send so many?" A message blasted through every speaker in the colony. His voice was cold and final. "Attention, New Pyongyang colonists. You are harboring a war criminal. We are here to extract it. You have 30 minutes to bring to the landing zone. If you refuse, we will begin orbital bombardment. Everyone will die. Choose wisely." The colonists looked at each other in panic. 12 warships. There was no fighting that, no surviving it. Stood up slowly. "I will go. I will not let my brother's people die for me." "No," grabbed onto his arm. "We can fight them, we can." "We cannot," said gently. "This is different from raiders. This is a military fleet. If I do not surrender, everyone here dies." His eyes filled with tears. "There has to be another way." "There isn't," said. He knelt down to level. "Little brother, you gave me something I never had. You gave me family, friends, a reason to live beyond war. I will always be grateful." "You can't leave," whispered. "You're my brother." Pulled the boy into a gentle hug. "And you will always be mine. But brothers protect each other. This is how I protect you." Before anyone could stop him, began walking toward the landing zone. Tried to follow, but held him back. The boy screamed and cried, but his sister wouldn't let go. "We have to do something," shouted. "What can we do?" asked helplessly. "We barely survived raiders. That's a military fleet up there." "Look torn. If we try to stop this, they'll kill everyone. Every child, every family. We can't." "We can't just let them take him," said. "He's one of us now." The argument continued as reached the landing zone. A council shuttle was descending, was coming down personally to collect his prize. But then something happened that no one expected. broke free from his sister and ran. He was fast, darting between adults before anyone could catch him. He reached just as the shuttle landed. "No!" shouted. The boy grabbed onto his leg and wouldn't let go. "You said brothers protect each other. That means I protect you too." Stepped out of the shuttle. He was a large alien covered in battle scars, his eyes filled with old hatred. He looked at with disgust. Then he looked at. "So this is the human child stupid enough to call a monster brother," said. "Boy, step away. This creature deserves to die for what its species did." "He didn't do those things," said. "He's good, he helps us, he's family." "Family?" laughed bitterly. "I had a family once. I killed them all, burned my entire world, millions dead, and you dare call one of them family." "I'm sorry that happened to you," said, and he meant it. "But didn't do it. Punishing him for what others did isn't justice. It's just revenge." His hand moved to his weapon. Wise words for a child, but words don't bring back the dead. "Get out of my way or I'll move you myself." Gently pushed behind him. "Hurt my brother, and I will tear your ship apart with my bare hands before you kill me." "You think I'm afraid of you?" Raised his weapon, pointing at its head. Then the ground shook. A massive explosion erupted in the canyon beyond the colony, then another, and another. The council soldiers looked around in confusion. "Mining charges," his voice came over the radio. "Set on every approach to the colony. You want our family, come and take them." "This is insane," said. "I have 12 warships. I'll reduce this colony to ash." "Then you'll have to explain to the council why you massacred human civilians," his voice said. "We're broadcasting everything. Every council species is watching right now. Show them what you really are." Looked up, they were broadcasting. His face, his threats, everything going out across the galaxy. "You're bluffing," said. "You won't sacrifice your whole colony for one." "He's not just a," said, stepping forward with the other colonists behind her. He's brother. He's our friend. And yes, we'll fight for him, because that's what families do." Joined them hefting a mining laser. "I didn't like this situation at first, but the kid was right. We take care of our own." More colonists gathered, armed with tools, with improvised weapons, with nothing but their determination. They stood between and stared at them in disbelief. "You're all fools, you'll all die." "Maybe," said calmly, "but we'll die protecting one of ours. Can you say the same about your fleet? Will they follow you into a massacre of civilians? Will the council approve when every species sees this footage?" For the first time, hesitated. And in that moment, understood what his brother had been trying to teach him. Strength wasn't just about fighting. It was about standing together, about refusing to break. They had conquered through power. But these humans, these fragile, brief-lived creatures, they were showing a different kind of power. The power of unity, of loyalty, of love so strong they'd face death rather than abandon family. "I will remember this," said quietly. His hand was still on his weapon, but doubt had entered his eyes. The broadcast was going out. The galaxy was watching. What happened next would define not just this moment, but the relationship between humans and the entire Galactic Council. And somewhere above, human ships were starting to move. The standoff lasted for 10 tense minutes, stood with his weapon ready. The colonist stood between him and held onto his brother's hand, and the galaxy watched through the broadcast. Then everything changed at once. A council soldier's radio crackled. "Sir, we're detecting incoming ships, multiple signatures there. They're human vessels." Looked up at the sky. "Impossible, the quarantine." "They're breaking through the quarantine line," another soldier reported. "Dozens of them. No, hundreds. Sir, every human ship in this sector is converging on this location." On the colony's communication screens pulled up the fleet tracking data. His eyes went wide. It's not just military ships, it's cargo haulers, mining vessels, passenger transports, personal yachts. Everything with a human crew is coming here. The broadcast had spread through human space like lightning. Colonists on distant worlds had seen the footage of, and the others standing against a council fleet. They had seen a child protecting his brother. They had seen humans facing impossible odds rather than abandon family. And humanity had responded with a single, unified message: no. "This is Captain of the cargo hauler Steady Hand," a voice came over the open channel. "We're 6 hours out from New Pyongyang. We're not military, we're not even armed, but we're coming anyway. You want to kill those colonists, you'll have to go through us first." More voices joined in, hundreds of them, ship captains from across human space, all broadcasting the same defiant message. They were coming. They wouldn't arrive in time to stop the bombing, but they were coming anyway. And they were sending another message to the rest of humanity: wake up, mobilize, one of ours needs help. Watched his tactical display with growing disbelief. The human response was insane. They were throwing everything they had at this situation, for one colony, for one child's bond with an alien. "Sir," his second-in-command said quietly, "the Council is sending emergency communications. They're ordering us to withdraw." What spun around? "We have them cornered." The other Council species are getting nervous. The humans are mobilizing their entire civilian fleet. Some are saying if we fire on New Pyongyang, it could mean war. The Council doesn't want to risk that over one that killed billions. One that's protected by ancient right laws, his second reminded him. "Sir, we're being recalled. The Council is officially recognizing the blood oath. They're lifting the quarantine." Stared at, and all his life he had had dreamed of the day he'd kill the last one. And now, because of one human child, that dream was slipping away. "No," said quietly, "I won't let it end like this." He raised his weapon, pointing it directly at. Several colonists moved, but they were too far away. Had a clear shot. He could kill the and claim it was self-defense. His finger tightened on the trigger. Stepped directly into the line of fire. "Stop," the boy shouted. "If you shoot him, you have to shoot me first, because I won't move." "No," screamed, trying to reach her brother. Tried to pull the boy behind him, but held firm. The 8-year-old looked up with tears in his eyes but absolute determination on his face. "Please," said, "I know you're hurt, I know you lost people you loved, but killing won't bring them back. It'll just make more people hurt, it'll make me hurt, it'll make my sister hurt. Is that what you want?" His hand shook. The weapon was aimed at a child. A small human child who should be home playing games, not standing between a soldier and his revenge. "He's a monster," said, but his voice cracked. "He's my brother," replied simply. "And he's good. He helps people, he protects us. He reads books with me. He's not the monster you remember, he's—" The weapon lowered slowly. Really looked at him. Saw the tears, the fear, but also the absolute refusal to back down. Saw the same kind of courage that himself had once shown, standing over his family's graves and swearing revenge. This child was willing to die for his brother, just like would have died for his family. The weapon dropped to the ground. "I can't," whispered. "I can't kill a child even for this." He looked at, "You don't deserve this mercy. You don't deserve this family, but you have it anyway because of him." He pointed at, "Guard that boy with your life, because he just saved yours." Turned and walked back to his shuttle. His soldiers followed, confused but relieved. The fleet began pulling back from orbit. As the shuttle lifted off, his legs gave out. He collapsed, shaking with delayed fear. Caught him holding the small boy close. "You foolish, brave, wonderful little brother," said, his voice thick with emotion. "You could have died." "But you didn't," said, crying into his chest. "That's what matters." Reached them, pulling both into a hug. The colonists gathered around, some crying, some laughing with relief. They had won. Somehow, against impossible odds, they had won. Over the next few days, human ships arrived. They brought food, medicine, supplies, and messages of support. The quarantine was officially lifted. The Galactic Council issued a statement recognizing his blood oath and granting him asylum. But more importantly, something had changed in how the galaxy viewed humans. They had seen humans face down a military fleet for one child's promise to an alien, had seen them willing to die rather than break their word, had seen them mobilize their entire civilian population, not for conquest or profit, but for loyalty. Some species found it admirable, others found it terrifying, but all of them understood one thing: humans protected their own with a ferocity that logic. Threaten one human, and you faced all of them. 10 years later stood in the Galactic Council chambers. He was 18 now, tall and confident, serving as a human diplomat. Beside him stood, his armor polished, his presence no longer terrifying but respected. The galaxy had changed. The story of the boy and the had become legend. It had opened doors for other refugees, other outcasts, other beings seeking second chances. Humans had become known not just as fierce protectors, but as compassionate adopters of lost causes. New Pyongyang had grown into a thriving hub where humans and aliens lived together. Ran the settlement, which now housed 5,000 beings from 20 different species, all of them drawn by the simple promise: here, you are family. Finished his speech to the council about refugee rights. As he left the chamber, walked beside him. "You did well, little brother," said, "though you are not so little anymore." "You still call me that," smiled. "You will always be my little brother, even when you are old and I am older. That is what family means." They walked through the council station, passing aliens of every type. Some stared at them, the famous pair, the human who befriended a monster, the monster who learned to love. "Do you ever regret it?" asked. "That day in the tunnel, if you had just hidden better, if we had never met, you might have escaped, lived free." Stopped walking. He put one massive hand on his shoulder. "I was never free," said quietly. "I was alone, lost, the last of a species built for war with no war left to fight. I would have died in that tunnel, alone in the dark, never knowing what I was missing." He smiled, an expression that had taken years to learn. "You gave me something worth more than freedom or survival. You gave me family, purpose, love. I do not regret a single moment." Hugged his brother. Around them the galaxy turned. Civilizations rose and fell. Wars were fought and peace was made. But in that moment, none of it mattered as much as the bond between a human and an alien. The galaxy had learned an important lesson from New Pyongyang. Humans were not the strongest species, not the longest lived, but they possessed something that made them uniquely dangerous. They possessed loyalty that transcended logic, love that reason, and a stubborn refusal to abandon those they called family, no matter the cost. They had once been feared across 17 worlds. They had been weapons of conquest, unstoppable in their fury. But one human child had taught the last something more powerful than conquest. He had taught him that the strongest warriors are not those who know only how to destroy. They are those who know what they are willing to protect. And in learning that lesson, had become something his species never achieved through all their wars and victories. He had become exactly what he was meant to be. Not a weapon, not a monster, but a brother. And that made all the difference.